So today we're going to discuss a little bit about the fraud detection and prevention. What are the best practices in the accounts payable space? So I'm Joseph Joy. I'm the managing director at ACMO, and we got a few little things that we want to just go through before we get into the actual details. Now, a lot of businesses may be asking, why do we care about fraudulent transactions to begin with? Our suppliers are quite good. They actually send the invoices in the correct format. Everything looks all right. But the truth is, fraudulent invoices are causing the highest loss across all scam types. And as per the ACCC reports as of 2019, it costs about $132 million every year for businesses. Now, we don't have the latest numbers, but the latest numbers are not different from what we had on 2019. So these things does happen, and it's not rare to come across these scenarios. At the ACMO, we speak to a lot of prospects and customers on a day-to-day basis. We are one of the leaders and experts in the accounts payable automation space in Australia. So any prospects or customers we speak to, they all agree that they have come across these fraudulent transactions or trying to get a fraudulent transaction go through the system. They've been getting this almost every single day. Now, we've got a few little pointers that we can help and provide some guidance. This is all based on our previous experiences in delivering solutions for our accounts payable space. So just got a few little pointers or areas that our audience can actually focus on if you already don't have a system in place to prevent these transactions. Now, we categorize them into 4 different things. One is into the supplier master data. Second one is the external checkpoints, payment details, and communication channel. Now, each of them contribute equal value to the whole puzzle. Starting with supplier master data, this is talking about the supplier's information that you've kept in the ERP, based on which you make all the payments. So there are a few things that we would go through and give you some guidance. So in the ERP, against each supplier record, there are statuses that are maintained. These suppliers could be in an active state. It could be in an inactive state because you no longer do business with those suppliers. Or for some reason you want to hold the payment, or the suppliers may be in a block state. Now, anytime an invoice comes through, it is really essential for the accounts payable officers to have a look at the ERP, make sure that the invoice was delivered by the same supplier you do business with, and check the status. And this is pretty much a standard process, but we would like to emphasize the importance of doing this check to begin with. Make sure that the suppliers are always in an active status rather than inactive or blocked or on hold status. Now, the second point is a pattern analysis. Now, a lot of people may say this is quite difficult to find a pattern. That's where a system or an automated process will add value. So the pattern analysis can be broken down into 2 different areas: dollars spent in the last couple of months or 6 months or in a year. So try to find a pattern as to what's the kind of spending that your business do with the supplier. What's the average dollar value of an invoice? So if you get an invoice with a significantly different dollar value, then I'm not saying that it is a fraudulent transaction. It can be a very genuine invoice, but just pay a close attention when dollars seems to change significantly. Let's say you've been spending just a few grand every month for the supplier, but all of a sudden you got $1 million in a single invoice. Just pay close attention when the dollar spending pattern changes. Similarly, if you got a specific supplier who issues invoices once in a month or once fortnightly, but all of a sudden you got an invoice, multiple invoice in a single day, or let's say you have been getting invoices from the supplier, but the last time you received this invoice was about a year ago, but there wasn't any communication about any new engagement with the supplier, but then you started getting multiple invoices or some new invoices recently. So that's another place where you can have a closer look or speak to the respective authority to see was there really an engagement to provide some goods or services from the supplier before you go ahead and make the payment. So that's the very first thing we would start with. And the second thing is rely on some external agencies if required. Now, we don't mean to say that rely on any external agencies, but we are talking more about the business registration, or in Australia, I'm talking about the ABR and the ATO, the business register. So have a look at the details of the supplier. So pretty much any customers at the time of onboarding, this is a standard process for them to ask for supporting documents like the company registration document, ABN details, and all that. And we know for a fact, pretty much any accounts payable officer would go in to the ABR website to do a lookup for the ABN, find the director details, look at the GST registered status, what's their trading name, whether they match or not. This is pretty standard, but then what is missing is they would do it only once and forever. They would never ever look back or check their records periodically, like once in a month or once in 6 months. It's just once and forever. But this GST registration status or ABN status can change quite often. So ABN status can be inactive if the supplier is no longer in business, but they are trying to still send some invoices for whatever reasons. But most common thing would be the GST registration status, which is most common, because if the supplier hasn't had a lot of income and revenue in the last financial year, there is no legal obligation that they have to be GST registered unless they are in a specific job category. So what that would mean is they would have deregistered their business from GST requirements, which means that they are not really supposed to charge that extra 10% or 15% in New Zealand. So they don't have to really do that. But even though they're not supposed to charge the 10%, maybe if the supplier is a little bit sneaky supplier, they would still continue to put that extra 10% on their invoice, which they would assume that they can get that extra 10% in their pocket. So an automated system will make sure that any invoices, that is every single invoice that is processed through that system, is going to look up in that external agency or external website to check the ABN status, the trading name, as well as the GST registration status. What that means is if they are no longer a GST registered supplier, but they had a GST dollar value on the invoice, it's going to raise alarm saying, you know what, they are no longer a GST registered supplier, so you don't have to make a payment. So maybe deal with the supplier outside of this system. So that's one quick little thing that you can do to prevent that extra spending when you don't have to really do that. The second one is in terms of supplier onboarding. Now, again, people may be asking for supporting documents when they first onboard a supplier, but these documents may be business registration details, their bank statement, or a letter from the financial institution. But more than that, you could rely on external agencies like Equifax or other agencies that would do some supplier credibility check. What that means is they also have a list of blacklisted vendors to make sure that you're not doing business with those blacklisted vendors in the vendors that are categorized as someone relating to the terrorism or something into narcotics and those kind of things, which you're illegal stuff. So you have to make sure that any new suppliers that comes on board have got a clean slate. So you could rely on those external agencies to make sure that you are doing business with the right people. Those agencies will also help you do some credit checks for the supplier because it's important that you do business with someone who isn't going to be bankrupt or who is going to be out of business in the near future. So it's important you do all those checks. Now, the most important thing that a lot of people get messed up would be in the payment details. Now, there has been a lot of articles recently, one of which we have highlighted here. This was like a small little company who had a 51 grand on their invoice. They did all the work and they issued an invoice to the customer, but then their invoice was intercepted by the bad guys, and they actually changed the bank details on the invoice to something else, and they got paid. The supplier didn't get paid at all. So the issue only came to the notice only after some time. So we just got the QR code here just in case if you're interested in going and finding the details of that particular issue. But the thing is, this bank details mismatch is quite common, and these could be genuine cases. Now, on an invoice, there would be bank details mentioned. There could be BSP, even bank details. But at the same time, when the supplier was onboarded, you would have taken their bank details, and that would be in the ERP. So the best source of truth would be always rely on ERP, but then have someone trigger an alert if the bank details are different on the invoice. And this can be an automated system, or this can be a checklist that you maintain if you're processing invoices manually. So when you see a difference, that could be a genuine case when the supplier would have changed their bank but haven't notified its customers. So maybe that's an opportunity for you to ring the supplier and ask, hey, have you changed your bank details? If so, guide them to the right process of updating it. There should be also control over who has got authority and access to update the bank details in the ERP, because that's the most important piece of information when you pay your supplier. So you need to handle that with extreme care. Again, don't get into pressure when you receive an invoice that says urgent payment required, and something like a threatening statement. If you don't pay by so and so date, we're going to take legal actions. Don't get pressured out of it. They're just trying their luck. And in some cases, if it's a suspicious or a fraudulent transaction, they're just not giving you enough time to do all the checks and due diligence. So don't get pressured with that kind of a statement. Just follow your normal routine. Enforcing PO policy, that's a really good thing for businesses to adopt. What that really means is, again, it's not a direct way of preventing fraudulent transaction, but it's just one extra step that only the suppliers who has got that knowledge of that purchase order will have the ability to send that invoice and put that purchase order number on their invoice. So if you got three-way matching or two-way matching to make sure that the purchase order and the dollar value on the invoice matches with what's there on the PO, that's definitely going to put a bit more control over who is issuing this invoice. And if they are doing it with a valid purchase order, then it has to be really a smart person who is an internal resource who has got access to all the purchase order information. But then for the other sneaky situation, I think this is going to definitely put a control in stopping those transactions from flowing through. The last group that we want to talk through is about the communication channel. Now, at any given point of time, it's highly recommended you don't rely on one point of contact with your supplier in terms of receiving invoices or asking clarification. At least always maintain two people in your contact list from each vendors. So that way, if you find something suspicious, you could even ring the other person just to reconfirm it is correct. When in doubt, always request for additional documentation. So let's say when you ring the supplier, they say, yep, we definitely had changed the bank details, ask for additional documentation to support that statement. Always pay attention to the email address from which you receive invoices. Now, this is not 100% foolproof, because if the supplier uses some new generation accounting software like QuickBooks or Reckon or Xero, then chances are you're going to receive emails from a different email address, different from the actual supplier's email address. But in a lot of cases, when it's actually issued by the actual accounts team at the supplier's end, it's going to come in from the actual supplier's domain. So pay close attention to the sender's email address. Always, it's a good practice to send the suppliers back the payment remittance details as soon as you make the payment, just so that if it was not unintended, or if it went into the wrong bank details, then at least the alarm can be raised straight away rather than waiting for a couple of months. So always speak to your supplier keep them up to date as to how things are progressing. That's pretty much we wanted to just go through. And again, this is not from a technology point of view as to how you should be processing invoices and what are the ways to prevent fraudulent transactions from going through. This is even for your manual way of processing invoices. But then when you do it the manual way, you're going to at least spend about 5 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes on every single invoice. But with an automated system, definitely that can be brought into like 5 seconds or 10 seconds to process an invoice, because what an automated system can do is highlight a problem when there is a problem. But if there isn't a problem, then no alarms needs to be raised. It can just go through without any problem. So only the bad ones are going to stop for an exception review, but the good ones are all going to go through without any problem. So these points can be used for your day-to-day job, or if you got an automated system, just speak to your vendor to try to get these extra checkpoints into their system.